Jay Kanzler, 838 here at KTRS Big 550, joined by a good friend of mine, Sarah Brian Miller, who is the St. Louis Post-Dispatch classical music critic. Good morning.
Good morning, Jay.
It's the holiday season, Brian, and there must be something wonderful going out there in the world of music, and you've come to tell us what we should be listening to or what we should be going to.
There are all kinds of possibilities for all kinds of tastes. The St. Louis Symphony Orchestra has a lot going on. This weekend they're doing the Mannheim Steamroller Christmas Symphony. Next week they've got the Mercy Holiday Celebration, where you can have your picture taken with Santa and do sing-alongs. And
always popular.
But my favorite for the SLSO is the New Year's Eve celebration, where music director David Robertson keeps everything a surprise until you walk in and get your program. So you don't know what they're going to play, you don't know who the guests are going to be, but it's always well worth attending and well worth hearing. And it starts at 7:30 and gets out early so that you can still do something else that night.
What have they done in the past as part of the surprise? Were you surprised?
I have, yes. Even my sources aren't that good. So yes, he'll bring in. One year, Christine Brewer came in when she had been singing out of town and nobody knew she was around, and just a lot of different fun things.
Mm-hmm. This year, as we move past the holiday season, what's the Symphony Orchestra concentrating on? I know each year they kind of maybe have a little bit of a theme. Maybe it's a particular composer or type of work. Is there anything going on this year that the orchestra is concentrating on?
Well, they're doing a lot of John Adams because it's his 70th birthday year, and they're doing a piece, the Gospel According to the Other Mary, in March, which they're then taking to Carnegie Hall. But you get your Beethoven, you get your Gershwin and Bernstein and everything else.
Right.
They've got a good balanced season. I did want to say something about a couple of other holiday concerts.
Oh, please, I'm sorry.
No, that's quite all right. It's just the St. Louis Chamber Chorus is a remarkable a cappella choir. I don't know of another group quite like them. They're all professional choir, and their director, Philip Barnes, they don't have a permanent home, so they go to a different venue every time. And he built the program partly around the venue. So this year is a Baltic Christmas, and it's in a very Scandinavian-style Methodist church in Florissant. And they'll do all Baltic and composers.
And where would, and Philip's a wonderful director, where would people find out more about that concert?
Chamberchorus.org is the address. And I would also say, read the St. Louis Post-Dispatch Go section on Fridays, because it's full of holiday concerts right now. Everybody's getting theirs. So today's paper and next Friday's paper, you'll have all kinds of options for holiday things.
Good. Sarah Brian Miller, the St. Louis Post-Dispatch classical music critic, filling us in on some holiday concerts. Any other holiday concerts that we should be looking for, or opportunities to hear music over the holidays?
The Bach Society, if you want a big traditional choir with big traditional music and an orchestra, the Bach Society of St. Louis will give their concert on December 23rd at Powell Hall. And you can get tickets by calling the Powell Hall box office.
Now, before we move off onto another topic, where can people read Brian Miller and her reviews and her articles?
St. Louis Post-Dispatch in the actual paper, or online at stltoday.com.
Okay. Now, you are a classical music critic.
Correct.
That's your title. What does that mean?
Well, in practice nowadays, that means I write preview stories, telling people what's coming and why they should be interested, what to look for, what to listen for. I go to concerts and review them, write about what happened, and again, something more of the background, the why this is significant. Or maybe you really liked something, but you didn't know why, or you really didn't know something, but you can't put your finger on the reason. And I try to provide some reasons why something is outstanding or otherwise.
Now, you have a substantial background in music.
Yes, I was an opera singer in Chicago.
Okay. So you believe yourself to be well qualified. I love going to the symphony, but quite frankly, I mean, I know what I like in terms of music, but I can't tell if they played it well, if they missed a note. I'm always amazed when I read your reviews that you say, well, this was a little off, this was a little fast, or this was especially wonderful. Like, wow, I don't know.
Well, I've been listening to this stuff all of my life, and I mean, you can tell if it's out of tune. I mean,
Right, but rarely are you going to hear something at the Symphony Orchestra.
No,
at
the
St. Louis that's out of
SLSO,
tune.
one of the best, certainly one of the top 10 best orchestras in the country, and one of the better orchestras in the world. St. Louis has an amazing resource there. For a city of this size, to have such an outstanding orchestra is really amazing.
Right. And you've been doing this a long time here in St. Louis.
18 years.
18 years. And so it's not a huge community among
No.
the musicians, and the symphony, and many members of the symphony are around a long time. Do they ever get upset with you?
Oh, yes.
And,
Oh,
and
yes.
how does that work? How do you keep that that relationship in place?
Well, I think when I first came here, they kind of questioned who I was. I'd written a lot for the New York Times and the Wall Street Journal and other publications, but when they found out that I had made a living as a musician, I think my stock went up. Mm-hmm. And now at this point, I think they're used to me. You were all going to make errors. I try to err on the side of charity. I remembered that these are human beings, except sometimes for stage directors, but in opera, who are just about themselves. But it's all about being accurate but fair.
Mm-hmm. Have you ever received a Trump tweet out of nowhere criticizing you, saying your columns are unreadable?
The president-elect has not noticed me yet.
Okay. And Sarah Bryan Miller, St. Louis Post-Dispatch, classical music critic. Thank you so much for joining us. We're going to
Thanks,
have
Jay.
you back again real soon.
Thank you, Jay.
Okay. It's 8:45 here at KTR.